All right, let's dive right in. Today, we are talking about a totally counterintuitive strategy for getting better grades. And get this, it involves less stress and, believe it or not, less effort. It's all about building something we're going to call an academic emergency fund. I know, it sounds a little weird, but stick with me because this could completely change the way you think about studying.
So, does this question hit a little too close to home? You know that feeling, right? You're just staring at a super dense textbook, feeling that guilt that you should be studying, but you're just totally drained and getting nothing done. It happens to the best of us, but honestly, it's a huge red flag that the way you're studying might be completely broken.
And that brings us perfectly to our first big idea, the old study trap. This is that painful cycle of procrastinating, then cramming at the last minute, and just feeling totally burned out. We've all been there. And you know, it feels like you're working hard because there's so much stress and so many late nights. But in reality, it is an incredibly inefficient way to actually learn anything.
Okay, look at this. You can see the two paths laid out, side by side. Over on the left, you've got the trap. That's passively reading your textbook, maybe highlighting a few things, and just kind of hoping it all magically sinks in. Of course, that always leads to that frantic, last-minute cram session. The result? A ton of stress for, let's be honest, a pretty low reward. But on the right, you have a totally different approach, building that emergency fund. This uses active recall and consistent small efforts, and it just transforms studying from this high-stress event into a low-stress habit that actually gets you better grades.
So if that's the trap we all want to avoid, what's the actual solution? Well, it's this game-changing idea called the Academic Emergency Fund. Let's break down exactly what this is all about.
Just think of it like a financial emergency fund, you know? You don't save all your money the day before your rent is due. That would be insane. You build it up little by little over time. So when some unexpected expense comes up, or in our case, a pop quiz or a big final exam, you're not scrambling, you're ready. This is a reserve of knowledge that protects you from those academic emergencies.
Okay, so the idea makes sense, right? But you're probably wondering, how do you actually build this fund? Well, it's not complicated at all. It really just comes down to two simple core principles that do all the heavy lifting for you. And here they are. It's this simple. Number one, practice active recall. Now, this is not just rereading your notes. It's the act of actively pulling information out of your brain. So for example, instead of just reading your biology notes on mitosis again, close the book and try to draw the stages from memory. That little struggle to remember, that's what makes the memory stick. And number two, stay one chapter ahead. This is such a simple but powerful habit. If you pre-learn the material before it's even covered in class, the lecture itself becomes a review session, not the first time you're hearing it. This one shift puts you in a constant state of reinforcing what you know, not panicking about what you don't.
And that is the absolute heart of this whole philosophy. The crucial point here is that this is not about grinding harder or finding more hours in the day to study. It's a strategic shift. You're just moving the effort from that high-pressure week before an exam to these low-stakes, consistent moments throughout the entire semester. You're just always prepared, so you never have to cram.
And now for the really fun part. What are the actual techniques you can start using, like, today? Let's look at your lazy study toolkit, because these methods are surprisingly low effort for how effective they are. We're talking maximum results for minimum work.
Here's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Instead of spending an hour rotting in bed, feeling guilty that you don't understand a chapter on, say, chemical bonding, what if you just spent 15 minutes watching an expert on YouTube break down the exact type of problem you're going to see on the test? See, this isn't lazy. It's just efficient. You're getting straight to the solution, and you're seeing the process in action, which is a powerful form of active learning.
And that's just one tool. Here's another. Use AI. Ask an AI tool to generate a quick 5-question quiz on the chapter you just skimmed. Or have it explain a concept to you like you're 5. It's instant active recall, no textbook required. So this so-called lazy approach is really just a shortcut to smarter learning. It forces you to focus on what actually matters, active recall, by watching and engaging. Every single video you watch, every concept you get this way is just another deposit into your emergency fund. And maybe the best part of all, you can finally ditch that guilt about not slogging through the textbook page by page. So let's bring this all together, shall we? When you shift your mindset from cramming to consistently building this reserve of knowledge, you're not just studying differently, you are studying so much smarter.
And the payoff is exactly what every student is looking for. You get better grades because you actually understand the material on a way deeper level. You have so much less stress because you're never really unprepared.
And because this method is so much more efficient, you get the most valuable resource of all back, your free time.
So I'll just leave you with this question. We're always told that to succeed in school, you need to do this relentless, back-breaking work. But what if that's just wrong? What if finding the most efficient, low-effort path, the lazy way, is actually the smartest way to get that A? Something to think about.